Listen to this if you feel, very quietly, that no one sees you. If the voice in your head has been telling you for years that you go through the world unwitnessed, unheard, alone in your particular weight. There is an old story about a wandering ronin who, on a long afternoon, sat down at the edge of a river beside a blind fisherman. They did not speak. After an hour, the fisherman told her, in the calmest voice she had ever heard, 3 things about herself that no one had spoken aloud to her in 15 years. Her name is Tsubaki. She is a wandering ronin in the late Bakumatsu, 30 years old, with the fine scar over her left eye and the worn deep red cord on the hilt of her single katana. She has been on the road for a long time. The world she trained for is over. The people who would have recognized her are mostly dead. She has grown used, in the way you grow used to a sound the body stops hearing, to moving through villages and inns and pass roads without being seen, without anyone noticing what she is carrying, without anyone asking what she has lost. She does not mind it most days. Most days she prefers it. But the voice in her head has been louder lately, in the way it gets louder in the second half of a long crossing. And the voice has been saying, "No one knows you are here." The river was wide and slow. The bank was packed pebbles and small stones. The afternoon light was a soft, late amber, the river surface catching it in long, quiet lines. The fisherman was old. He sat on a low, flat stone at the edge of the water, his rod resting across his knees, the line out into the slow current. He wore a faded indigo cotton jacket, a wide-brimmed straw casa hat pulled low against the sun. There was something a little odd in the way he held his head, slightly tilted, as if he were always listening to a sound just behind him. Tsubaki had not meant to stop. She had been walking the bank toward the next ford, but the river held her in the way some places do when you have been on the road too long. She sat down on a flat stone, perhaps 8 paces from the fisherman. She did not greet him. He did not greet her. They sat that way for the first hour. The river ran. A heron rose from the far bank, slow and grey, and was gone. The light shifted from late amber to evening gold. Neither of them spoke. She had not expected to feel held by the silence. She had expected, in the small attention she always paid to strangers, to feel inspected, to feel the slight pressure of being seen by an old man on a riverbank. There was no pressure. There was only the river, and the slow lines of light, and the long weight at her shoulders. Sometime in the second hour, after the heron was long gone, the fisherman cleared his throat softly and said, without turning his head toward her, his voice carrying just enough to reach her over the slow water, "You have been walking for many days." She did not answer. She did not have to. He went on, in the same slow, calm voice, as if he were observing the river and not a person. "You are about 30. You carry the old wound at the left of your face. It has been healed a long time. You have not spoken to anyone about what happened. Not even tonight, in your own head, do you speak about it." She had gone very still on her flat stone. "You were tired in the way of a person whose tiredness no one has named for them." The light on the river went pale gold. She felt the kind of stillness that comes when a thing you had assumed was your own private weight has just been read out loud by a stranger. She found her voice. It came out a little smaller than she intended. "How do you know?" The fisherman, still not turning toward her, gave a small, slow smile, that did not reach the edges of his straw casa hat. He lifted one weathered hand from the rod and gestured, faintly, at the side of his face, at his eyes. At the place where his eyes would have been if his eyes had been working. "I cannot see you." She had not heard him say it directly until that moment. She looked. The light beneath the brim of his casa caught the cloudy pale of his eyes, long, blind, the lashes white. "I have been blind since I was 9. The river taught me to listen. I listen to fish, and I catch some. I listen to herons, and I know when they rise. I listen to travelers when they sit down on the stones beside me, and I can hear, in a few hours, most of what they are carrying." She did not speak. "I cannot see your face. I cannot see your scar. I cannot see your sword. I can hear how you breathe." The way a body breathes, there is a great deal of a life in it. You have been walking long. You are tired in the named way and in the unnamed way. The wound is old. The voice in your head today is louder than usual. He paused. "I cannot see you. I hear you. I see you. There is a difference. I am not the only one who does." She sat on the flat stone for a long time after that. The river ran. The sun went red and then went down behind the far ridge, and the light on the water faded to soft grey. The fisherman cast his line again and was quiet. She had spent 15 years thinking that no one saw her. She had carried that voice the way she had carried her katana, close, familiar, slightly heavy at the left hip. And here, on a river she had not meant to stop at, a man who could not see her face had named her tiredness aloud in 2 minutes. The voice in her head, the one that had said "no one knows you are here," was wrong. She had been broadcasting all along. She had been broadcasting in the way she carried her shoulders down the road, in the way she set her cup down in inns, in the rhythm of her breath in rooms where she thought no one was watching. There were people all over who had been listening at the frequencies she did not know she was sending on. The blind fisherman had simply happened this afternoon to say it out loud. It was not that no one had ever seen her. It was that the voice in her head had been very small in its definition of being seen. It had insisted on a single form, recognition by people who knew her name, who knew her story, who had been there for the loss. That form had been mostly gone for 15 years, but the river of being seen had been running underneath her the entire time, in forms she had not known to count. She stayed at the riverbank that night. She slept beside the fisherman's small fire. In the morning, he gave her 2 of the small fish he had caught at dawn. He did not say anything about the previous evening. He did not have to. You have been told, by the voice in your head, that no one sees you. The voice has a very small definition of being seen. It counts only the recognition that has gone away, the people who knew your story, the people who were there for the loss, the names you no longer hear spoken. But you have been broadcasting all along. There are people in your life right now listening at frequencies you do not know you are sending on. The neighbour, the stranger on the train, the child who waves at you from a window, the friend who texts at the moment the voice is loudest. You have not been alone the whole time. The voice has been wrong about its own evidence.